Hello TYBS students. Today we are starting with the continuation of the previous chapter, that is the types of host. And in that types of host we have already covered the definitive host, and then we in previous lecture we have seen the intermediate host, which was having two types, that is passive and active host, and it is also sometimes called as a secondary host. Then we have seen the examples of passive and passive intermediate host and active intermediate host. Uh, so it is not necessary to go through the life cycle, but it was just an example. Now this was the active intermediate host example, Trypanosoma hivansi. And one more type that we have covered in the previous lecture, that was the accidental host or incidental host. And the example of this particular host, that also we have seen, that is Trichinella. I'm sorry about this slide here. Trichinella spiralis should be in should be italics. I haven't done it, that is my mistake. Okay, so now in this particular chapter we will continue with more types. There are three more types remaining. One is the reservoir host, then carrier host, and paratenic host. Now reservoir host, as you can see, a wild or domesticated animal which harbors a parasite and acts as source of infection to humans. Okay, in a endemic area or a parasitic infection is continuously kept up by the presence of host, okay, and which harbors the parasite and acts as an important source of infection to the other susceptible. Then you have a carrier host, a host harboring and decimating or spreading the parasite, but exhibit no clinical sign. And the carrier host, we will see details of all these. Then you have a paratenic, several different type of host. This is the last one, the last type of host, that is an organism that harbors sexually immature parasite, okay, but is not necessary for the parasite develop cycle to progress within this paratenic host. So it will just remain there. A sexually immature parasite, there can be a stage, or it can be an egg also, okay, or cyst also. In case of some helminths, okay, the eggs will be there, so they will have it. We will see examples and details of this paratenic host also. The first one that we want to cover is the reservoir host. Now again I am giving you several definitions. Any definition which is suitable for you, that you can continue with. So a wild or domestic animal which harbors a parasite, first thing, and acts as a source of infection to humans. Now remember, in this particular definition I am telling that source of infection to humans, but reservoir host, humans can also be a reservoir host. Okay, so maybe this particular definition will not be applicable always, so we can go for other definitions also. A primary host that harbors a pathogen but shows no ill effect and serves as a source of infection, or otherwise reservoir hosts do not get the disease carried by pathogen, or it is asymptomatic and non-lethal. So basically reservoir host, even though if some stages goes on within the body, basically it is non-lethal to the reservoir host. Okay, now natural reservoir, also known as a disease reservoir or a reservoir of infection, okay, is a population of organism or a specific environment in which an infection pathogen naturally lives and reproduce. So reservoir is usually a living host of a certain species, such as animal or a plant, inside of which a pathogen survives, okay, often, but not always. Often, not always, means this is not, reservoir host is not necessary will be the important part of the life cycle of the pathogen, but it may remain within the reservoir host. So it survives within it and without causing disease to the reservoir itself. So in reservoir they may not show any kind of pathogenic effect. Okay, you can find them in the body of the reservoir, but pathogenic effect will not be there. Now these are some examples now. So an organism, one more definition, harbors pathogen but suffers no ill effects, but it serves as a source of infection, okay, to other species that are susceptible. So anybody who is coming in contact with that reservoir host, that may get the infection, okay, without important implication for disease control. So a single reservoir host may be reinfected several times, remember. Now animals, non-human, okay, reservoir consists of domesticated wild animals affected by pathogens. So rats, why we say that rat should not be there within your house? Because rat is one of the source or many sources of the diseases, because they go from one area to another and they may carry diseases. So rat known to be reservoir host for number of zoonotic diseases. For example, in Mexico, rats are known to carry the Trypanosoma cruzi, which causes Chagas disease. Okay, the diagram has been shown, Trypanosoma cruzi. Then you have black rats, prairie dogs, chipmunks, and squirrels for bubonic plague. Chipmunks generally is not present in our area, but squirrels, yes, they may cause the bubonic plague. Plague is caused by the flea, as you can see, the rat flea or flea type organisms which will be present on these animals. So even though it is an ectoparasite, but these ectoparasites are also reservoir. So plague is basically caused by the bacteria, but that bacteria infection is carried out by these fleas, remember. So numerous zoonotic diseases have been tracked back to the bats also. This is very important. Now if we talk about bats, latest whatever coronavirus has been spread, it has been said that it comes from the bats. Now the Chinese people have consumed the soup of bat, and in that soup maybe from the soup the infection has been done. Or there is one more theory that there is one institute in Wuhan or somewhere where actually they have collected the specimens of the bats, and without using any protection they have taken it into the lab. Even in the lab they are not using any protection, and maybe from that bat the virus has been transferred to the humans. So basically bats can carry many viruses as well as many other pathogens also. So bats are the mammals, okay. So these mammals of Chiropetra order, okay, are present all over the world with the exception of the Arctic and the Antarctic and few oceanic islands. So bats are the only mammals with the ability to fly. Now why there are so many reservoirs? Because these are the mammals first of all, and only mammal which can fly. So actually they can be a very good reservoir host to many pathogens, because they can fly from one place to another. Okay, so bats are essential. Now they have ability to fly and present in many species, more than 1,000 species. Okay, and bats are essential number of global ecosystem, and there are human benefits from in many way. Okay, they are involved in seed dispersal, so they have a role in nature, that many seed eating bats are there, okay, or fruit eating bats, insect eating bats are there. As we have already seen that some of the insects may have some infection within their gut, and if these bats are eating them, then they become a reservoir to those insect infection, okay, and they through their fecal matter they will just transfer that particular pathogen from one area to another. Okay, there is one more thing, that bats are vital as in rebuilding cut down forests also. and in the pollination of wild plants as bananas, avocados and dates. Furthermore, the flying mammals are the major predators of night insects. Okay, so they have very good role actually, including crop and human. They are the major predators of night insects, including crop and human pests. And finally, their guano, or you can say their leftovers or fecal matters, are rich in nitrogen, can be used as a biological fertilizer. Okay, so bats can be, they have very good role within the nature, but because they can fly, they can be host to many pathogens. We know the example of viral pathogens. They are host to the very viral, as well as many other, as I have given you example of, they are insect eating and the insects may have some pathogen also. So this is one of the example. One more thing I want to include, that is about the plague. Bubonic plague is actually caused by Yersinia pestis bacteria. Okay, the name of that bacteria is Yersinia pestis. Okay, and it is caused by the flea, that you know. So there is one more example of this particular part. Cows are natural reservoir of African trypanosomiasis. So this is all the example of reservoir. Okay, the next one is the another host, carrier host. Now carrier host, or it can be intermediate host, but there are some differences. Intermediate host may get some different stages, life cycle of pathogen, whereas carrier host is somewhat different. It harbors and spreading the parasite, but exhibit no clinical sign at all. Nothing you can see. In reservoir you may see something, but in clinical or in this carrier host you will see nothing. So a person or an animal who develops an illness is an actually obvious example of host. Okay, but it has to develop some disease, but nothing happens. So carrier host, asymptomatic carrier. Remember, healthy carrier or just a carrier is a person or other organism that has become infected with the pathogen, but that displays no sign or symptoms. So infection, or you can say they will have the pathogen within their blood or in the tissue itself, but they will remain in the tissue or will remain in the blood without doing any damage to them. So the person or animal infected can potentially spread the pathogen. Again, carrier host can spread the pathogen but does not show clear symptoms. Symptoms may be mild or may be completely absent. If excess of growth occurs, that particular parasite, then there is a possibility of symptoms. Means if they get transferred some in other areas, for example, if they get transferred into the brain and survived there, then there is a possibility that they may show symptoms. Otherwise, carrier host basically don't show the symptoms. Okay. Now the next one is also important host, that is the paratenic host. Now this paratenic host, organism that harbors the sexually immature. So which stage of the life cycle will be present? Sexually immature. Maybe eggs also, maybe cyst also, or maybe one part, immature part of the parasite, but it is not necessary for the parasite developmental cycle to progress. And paratenic host is not the part. Carrier can be a part of parasitic host, but paratenic host generally non-sexual or asexually immature parasites are present, and they are generally not part of the progress of their life cycle. Okay, they are not accidental. Remember, don't confuse the paratenic with accidental. Accidental means they are not at all part of life cycle, but suddenly they get entered, whereas paratenic is not an accidental host. Out of 10 hosts, they may enter into 1 or 2 or 3 or 5th number of hosts, but it is not necessary. They will enter, but those are not a part of cycle, so they will remain there as it is unless and until they are transferred to another host. So this is a paratenic host. An intermediate host whose presence may be required for the completion of parasite's life cycle, but in which no development of parasite occur. See, in the previous definition, what they say is not necessary for parasite's developmental cycle to progress. Similar way, another definition is there: the intermediate host may be required for the completion of parasite life cycle, but no development of parasite takes place. Okay, so it may be or may not be part of life cycle, but basically within paratenic host development doesn't take place. Okay, so paratenic host, a potential or substitute. Remember, paratenic host is why it is not accidental. Again, I repeat, the reason is paratenic host is a host which is present in the list of that parasite. So it may enter, it will definitely enter, but there are some examples. For example, there are a frog, within the water there is a fish, there is a frog. So frog or fish can be a paratenic host, because if suppose parasite doesn't get the fish, it will try to enter the frog, but it will definitely enter. But if you look at the accidental host, then example I have given, the duck is the actual host. Humans are not at all host to some of the parasites, but because they are present in water and because they drink the water or something has happened, the parasite has entered into the body. This is the accidental host. Okay, so this is the difference. So again, parasitenic host, one more definition: a potential substitute intermediate host that serves until the appropriate definitive host is reached. So potential substitute intermediate host, it is. Okay, but no development, and in which no development of parasite occurs. Only it, whatever stage is there, it will remain in that stage and get transferred. So it may or may not be necessary to completion of parasite life cycle. This is very important. So definition, either one definition you should know. Very important part is no development takes place, and second thing, not necessary to completion of the life cycle. Okay. So a species that acts as a secondary or subsequent intermediate host for parasite with complex life cycle that usually involves two or more species. So these are some of the examples. So parasite does not undergo developmental stages in paratenic host, but exists in a encysted stage until it has an opportunity to move from definitive host to another host. So this occurs, for instance, in the intermediate host stage of some nematode parasite. So we will see examples of paratenic host now. So the first example of paratenic host is Capillaria. You see, I am giving you more than 2 or 3 examples. So whatever is simple for you, you try to remember, because with the definition you have to give the example and maybe the explanation. So Capillaria aerophila, small nematode that lives beneath the epithelial surface of large airways of dogs and cats. The airways means lungs or respiratory area. So infection is and who is the paratenic host? Earthworm. So accidentally, if these dogs and cats eat the earthworm, okay, so earthworm is not actual part of life cycle of that, but it may be present in earthworm. So earthworm become a paratenic host. Then there are hookworms. It occurs after ingesting food or water contaminated with hookworm generally, or eating infected paratenic host. So rodents, basically rodents are the paratenic host. So again, rats and other rodents are there, squirrels are there. So basically not squirrel but rat. If they are infected, they may transfer it. So another one is the and very important one, because I will explain further about Angiostrongylus cantonensis. Okay, a parasitic nematode it is, and is emerging infection disease in humans. This is a new example, and other animals know. Okay, so also sometimes called as a rat lungworm disease also. So paratenic host, what are the paratenic hosts for this? Freshwater shrimp, flatworms and frogs. Okay, that can be a paratenic host. So why I am giving you this example? Because this one example includes all different types of host. So the first one, for this particular example, the first definitive host for A cantonensis is Rattus Okay, Norvegicus ratus means, again these are the species of rat or rodents. Okay, this is the definitive host. So a definitive host includes various rat species. Okay, so these are some of them. Then there are some intermediate hosts also. So land and freshwater snails and slugs have identified as a intermediate host. So this is again giving you example of the intermediate host. Now after this intermediate host, as you can see, both definitive and intermediate host are obligate to the life cycle of this particular species. Then there is a paratonic host also. I have already given the freshwater shrimp. So paratonic host can wide range of fauna. There are wide range of fauna for this particular species. Okay, and are not needed in the nematode's life cycle, but acts as a reservoir in which different larval stages of parasite can persist but do not develop further, and they include freshwater shrimp, flatworms and frogs. Okay, so again paratonic host example is also there, and there are some accidental host, and because of this accidental host humans are getting infected. So what are the accidental hosts? Humans and other mammals as well as birds permit development from the third larval stage to the subadult fifth stage, which is but are then dead end for the parasite, and they start developing within that particular host, and that may cause damage to the host. Okay, so these hosts are infected through the consumption of raw or undercooked intermediate or paratonic host. Okay, so as you can see, I have told you there are some intermediate hosts, those are snails and slugs, and paratonic hosts are there, freshwater shrimps. Basically humans can feed on the shrimps, okay, not on flatworm and frogs. Now they may get transferred into the birds through the, as birds, some of the flesh eating birds can eat frogs and flatworms, okay, and shrimps can be taken up by the humans. So this is how the actual changes takes place. So this is one example, not just for paratonic host but for intermediate host, definitive host and accidental host also. This one example can be given for all. Okay, so this particular species get infection or may have accidental host also like humans, may have paratonic host also like flatworm or frog, may have definitive and intermediate host, and which is freshwater snail and slugs, and at the end rodents are the main host. So this is a very good example. The another example of a paratonic host, that is the guinea pigs are paratonic host to the one particular species, okay, that is B. procyon. Okay, and contract infection by ingesting eggs in the raccoon feces. Now raccoons sometimes eat guinea pigs. I should clear this, what is guinea pig. This species doesn't not observed in India, but guinea pig or a domesticated guinea pig, also known as a cavy or a domestic cavy, is a species of rodent. It looks like a somewhat big rat or maybe like a rabbit and rat. Okay, so it's a rodent belonging to family Cavidae and genus Cavia. And despite their common name, guinea pigs are not native of Guinea, remember, and nor they closely biologically related to pigs. It's just their name. They are not pigs and they have nothing to do with the place called Guinea, New Guinea. Okay, so these are kind of rodents. Sometimes these guinea pigs have been used in labs for testings also. So so I will be clear that. So what happens here, sometimes raccoons, they eat rats. So infection generally occurs to the laboratory rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters and other rodents, sometimes to the frogs also, dogs also. So raccoons, what they do, once ingested, larvae will hatch and penetrate the small intestine of the guinea pig, migrate through the liver to the lungs and disseminate through the body via circulatory system. Now larvae then encapsulated and remain until ingested by raccoon. So throughout the body they are present, and when the raccoon is also kind of rodent, but it is a larger one, and they they eat many things, they plants, fruits also, and even animals also. Okay, they have very sharp teeth. So they, when they ingest these rodents, then it get transferred into the raccoons. So raccoons are actual definitive host, whereas paratenic hosts are guinea pigs, which shows no signs, but they are part of transfer. Okay, so this is all about the types of host we have seen. This was the last lecture of the type of host. Okay, so go through this properly, revise it. It is very important chapter, and examples are important. You may find more examples also, those which are not included here. I have given some rare examples. Okay, but you can go through the books. I have already shared some books and find out more examples related with all these kind of host. Okay, thank you.